Welcome to Bleav in 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav in 76ers is presented by betonline.ag.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. From baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, the game starts here. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav in 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash here with my brother Teja Dash. Eric is going to be out of town this week and for next Friday, so it's just going to be the Dash brothers while Eric gets, I guess, some last summer traveling before basketball season really gets underway with training camp and all that stuff. So Teja and I will be holding down the fort here for the next 2 weeks. Quick shows, just kind of catching up with some of the information that's been going on. Some of the news that's been going on over the last week since our last show. But yeah, we'll get right into the big news. And big news, which, I mean, I gotta say, like, after the Olympics was over, and obviously Daryl Morey was there at the Olympics, but when this was going on, and I saw, PHLY podcast, our friends over there, Bodner and all those guys, talking about Guerschon Yabusele coming over to Philadelphia, and I just thought that was like something that, one of those speculative reports, like, oh, they should go look at him. We need a 4. He looked good during the Olympics, and it come to fruition. This week, earlier on this week, Yabusele is coming over to America again. He wanted another shot in NBA, and it looks like he's getting that. He's getting that with the Sixers. So, Teja, obviously, the whole big thing this offseason was, great offseason, but who's going to be our 4? Who's going to be our backup 4? And there's some people were speculating that Yabusele could be the starting 4. I know we picked up Kelly Oubre towards the end of last season, or last offseason. No, and everyone was like, no way this guy's going to start. We just picked him up in August. He's not going to start. And there's a chance that Yabusele could start depending on how, different lineups and different matchups work. But what are your thoughts on this? And do you think there's a potential of Yabusele starting in this on the Sixers squad?
Yeah, I think we definitely got a backup 4. I think we got a spot starter at 4. I think rebounding's still a concern, even with him. I still have concerns about that. I mean, I think he had like 2 against us in the gold medal game, so it's not like he was dominating us. And Embiid wasn't dominating rebounds at all either. So 2 of the guys that should have been rebounding more in that game are probably our main rebounders outside of Drummond. So that rebounding is still a major concern. But, good for him. It's awesome that, with the elevated, everyone's been talking about the elevated competition in the Olympics, and he shined on the greatest stage, right? Against the best of the best. It's not like the days anymore where you dominate a Serbia, then everyone's like, okay, he dominated Serbia, big deal. I mean, you're dominating NBA players no matter who you play in international play now, right? So you're always playing against guys that you're playing against in the regular season. So it is a fair comp. And it's not like they're playing in a park somewhere. Like, this is for the gold. This is for international reputation and recognition. So doing well there, I think, speaks volumes. It's like a real All-Star game. It's like everything that people want the All-Star game to be is Olympic play. That's what it is, right? It's the best of the best who aren't thinking about injuries and avoiding like that kind of stuff, and they're just there to win and play and compete. Guys are crying their eyes after losing these games, like they want it. So it's like the All-Star game mixed with like the finals, if you think about it. And he did really well. I mean, he had 22 against Canada, 17 against Germany, 20 against us. He looked like he wanted it out there. And Maury probably saw that LeBron dunk, and he was like, get his agent on the phone. I think a lot of people said that. I think a lot of fans said that. I looked at the threads of the main Sixers sign Yabusele, and everyone's like, damn, come on. Like, we should have got it. I mean, everyone – it's always nice to go through the threads and see that kind of stuff when other fans want a guy that you got. It's like, it's nice, right? We tend to ignore the other times where guys are like, good luck. But when they like it, we like it even more. But as far as him, big body, a bruiser, jump, obviously. He's got some defensive versatility. He slammed, what's his name? I totally forgot. That clip where he slammed the Exum. He slammed Exum. You've seen that. You saw that play, right?
Yeah.
He body slammed him. So he's got a mean streak to him. We need dogs. We did lose one of them, two of them in the past 2 years. His shots improved since he left the NBA. I think his minutes kind of maybe depend on how well his shot can translate. In international competition, he shot in the high 30s. Those numbers went down, I think, around 30 in France. But he shot, I think, 40% in Madrid for Madrid last year. It's a shorter three-point line from what I've heard. He shot 50, 40, 90 in qualifying matches, shot 80% from free throws in France. Scoring almost 20 a game for them. So he should be in the NBA. Like, he should be playing decent minutes in the NBA. That's no questions about that. I think he can be a corner three guy until he expands his range even more, at least, right? But it's a very low risk, mid-high reward, right? We didn't spend a lot of money. For him, it was a pretty easy decision, right? He's capitalizing off of this. He had to get out of the Madrid contract, but at the same time, it's easy for him. Like, yeah, he could have waited a year, but maybe it cools a little more. Maybe he doesn't go to the best team possible. He comes to a pretty good situation. You don't have – you're looking at a competing roster that doesn't have a true power forward. I mean, people still say we don't have a true power forward. So he's going to get minutes at 4, whether it's because we play against a bigger team or whether it's because someone's injured or we just feel like he might be a better fit with some guys. He's going to get rotation minutes right away. He's going to play major minutes when one of the three of George, Oubre, or Martin are out, and he's going to play against bigger lineups. So it's really smart for him. And I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play a lot. I think he's going to be a key member for us.
Yeah, I was reading some fans, I guess Boston Celtics fans, they wanted him back, which was interesting. I saw there's a lot of fans online saying like they wanted to throw their hat in the ring. Because look, for him, and there was other teams interested, as was reported, but to come to Philadelphia, right? Like, he could go to Charlotte. I mean, we saw what Kelly Oubre did with Charlotte, averaging 20 points a game. He could have gone to a team like that and, to sign a 1-year deal, a minimum, gone elsewhere and dominate. But instead, he's going to a team, which right now they're saying Caleb Martin's is starting for. He's kind of betting on himself in a way where he thinks he could come to Philadelphia and carve out a niche there. And I'll say this maybe too. Nico Batum, while he went back to LA, I think Nico Batum may have had a hand in this. I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, he played on the French team with him. Nico had a good time in Philadelphia, although he didn't want to come back to Philadelphia and going back to LA. He probably said it's a good spot for you to go. I have to imagine there was some kind of endorsement there from the fellow Frenchman. That's just me speculating. But yeah, looking at his numbers, when he was in the NBA many moons ago with Boston, was it 2017? Let me see. It was the 2017-2018 and 2018-2019 seasons. Mm-hmm. Only started 4 games for Boston in 2017-2018. He was a first-round pick, 16th overall by Boston. He shot around cumulative over those 2-year spans. He shot around 32% from the 3. You mentioned 40%. He was shooting about 41% in Euro ball. Euro ball is more like what we saw during the Olympics. That's a shorter 3-point line. So if he can kind of move back a little bit, take the jumpers a little bit beyond where he was shooting that, I think we got a steal here. And I would say more like, I could see him being more of like a PJ Tucker kind of role for us, being a guy who kind of like just go to the corner and knock down some shots. And if you look at his highlight reel when he was in Boston, there was a lot of that. Yeah, he shot 32%, but there was a lot of like driving and kicking, finding him on the corner and knocking down the tray ball. I watched a lot of his NBA highlights just to see what he looked like in that end. But if he could kind of take what he took from years past in the NBA and bring in what he brought in the Olympics and what he's been doing in Euro, you got yourself a solid 4, a gritty kind of guy. Rebounds, I'd like to go up a little bit. But one thing that was promising, if you look at his Olympic stats, the one game, so Canada, he had 5 boards. Germany, he had 7 boards against. If you look at those 2 games, both those teams, Germany and Canada outside the U.S., and France, probably one of the more NBA laden squads. Both squads had a lot of NBA players on it. You had Germany had Tice, Canada, you're going against a Linux, the Dwight, the Pals of the world. So I mean, like, you know, there's some NBA bigs on those teams. It maybe not be the best, but 7 boards against Germany, 5 boards against Canada. Brooks, yeah. So I mean, there's guys on those teams that they had a battle against. But yeah, at this point, talking August 23rd, I think Yabusele is going to give us kind of Kelly Oubre kind of impact for us. A guy that, some people may not look like, oh man, he's a 15th man or the 14th man. Like right now, it may look like, late signing, but I think he's going to have a big, he's going to get a lot of minutes. I think he's going to be in the rotation big time. Might even start depending on how the lineup looks with Caleb Martin at the 4. Maybe they move Oubre to the bench. They move Yabusele into the 4, and then you have Caleb Martin at the 2, and then you have George at the 3, Yabusele at 4, Embiid at 5 with Maxey at 1. I could definitely see lineups like that. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I'll also say this too. And we talked about this, just you and I, a few weeks back, if the Olympics took place before free agency started, you'd see a lot of like different things happening. I think he would have gotten a better contract if this was way before the Olympics. Some team would have gave him some of that money left over somewhere else. I mean, we say that, but guys like Gary Trent also got like the min, right? So, and like forced to take way less than they're worth. A lot of guys were, but maybe he would have gotten more. It's certainly a bargain for him at this point. I think he can definitely provide that. I think he's and he did this against really good squads, against I reiterate, against guys he's going to be playing against all year. So he was the second best player on the silver medal team behind Wemby. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I would say so. Yeah.
So like just at face value, he's the second best player on the silver medal team. I mean, that's pretty good. The second best player on most of these teams are legit NBA players.
Yeah.
I mean,
and this is a team that had a lot of NBA players on it.
Yeah. Yes, I know. So if you think about that across the board for every single team, take their second best player. I mean, the guy who's supposed to be their second best player is getting paid like $50 million a year, who sat on the bench for the last 3 games. Gobert. So he's a huge reason they got to that game. Period. If not for him, they wouldn't have gotten there.
Oh yeah, no, he was a guy that popped off. And you were watching France, like, who's that guy? That guy's pretty good.
Yeah, I think he popped off for everybody.
Yeah, and I'm looking at an article. I pulled out the quote, but Jake Fisher was talking about Yabusele. He said at the beginning of the Olympics, people were talking about NBA evaluators that he was talking to. At the beginning of the Olympics, people were like, Grant Williams is way better than that guy. But by the gold medal game, a lot of people, some NBA talent evaluators were saying that they take him over Grant Williams right now, which is pretty fascinating when you consider the fact that he just signed for the $2.1 million vet minimum with Philly. So
some guys wanted us to get Grant Williams, so we just got him for $2 million.
Yeah.
You can't argue with that. I mean, forget about even the player and what he could do. It's for $2 million. So it's not like he didn't break the bank on him. So even if he doesn't perform like we want him to at this point, like, I mean, it's not a disappointment as far as what we shelled out.
Yeah. No, it's a great get at this point in time. And it makes me believe the fact that Morey was there. Did Morey already know about Yabusele? He was there. We had this vacancy at the power forward position. We didn't go for any of the other guys, the precious to choose of the world. We waited. He
did say too, we're looking at guys that no one's talking about when they asked about that last roster spot.
Interesting.
Or the last roster spot, the last available roster spot, not the last roster spot, because he's saving that for a rainy day.
Yeah. No, I love it. And he provided juice for France, and hopefully he provides some juice for us. Yeah, and I'm curious to see if he kind of, we talked about his rebounding being lacking a little bit. If he could just provide that kind of energy and, get us to the timely boards, not so much being a rebounder, but being more of like the timely board kind of guy. Kind of like what we saw New York do to us. There's guys who don't rebound necessarily, but they're getting timely rebounds.
And I'll say for him too, he's the kind of guy I don't see myself questioning his effort for a loose ball or for a rebound. Like in that game where there were guys, those balls were just coming off the boards and like guys were just watching it and like waiting for Embiid to get to it. And he was exhausted with one knee. And like you had guys like Tobias not running for those and certain guys just not crashing. And all the New York guys were every single time. I don't think you'll have to worry about that with him. That's one thing they're like, maybe his boards didn't translate in Olympic play, but he's cracking the boards on a night-to-night basis. He knows what he has to do to get more playing time.
Yeah. Yeah, and quite frankly, I've read he could be a small ball five in some ways if we want to go with that at sometimes when
little Ben Wallace.
Yeah, have some fun with that, and yeah, I can see that the headband really does that.
Headband in a row, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm excited. A+ move yet again. This is highlights all the Daryl Morey doubters, and I gotta admit there was one point in the beginning before the offseason began when there was like, oh, Paul George is not coming to Philadelphia. I was like, man, Morey, what was his cap space playing all about if we're not going to get the guys we need to get? So, he came out and got that. So
it worked out.
A+ from start to the finish with this Yabusele pickup right here. All right, so we're going to get to our next topic here. Our next topic, we're talking big three, guys. I know it's been kind of the endless thing here, but there's no question as to who is the best player on the team. We have the MVP from 2 years ago, the guy who probably would have been the MVP had he not gotten hurt last year. But, you can make the argument he should have been the MVP the last 3 years if he just stayed healthy. But, we're not going to go there. However, there's kind of a debate going on here as to who is going to be taking the last shot for this team. You got Tyrese Maxey, who's becoming the up-and-comer, the guy who saved our butts when we probably should have lost pretty early on in that New York Knicks series. But this guy, Maxey, saved our butts big time. And then Paul George, obviously, we know he's been the bucket getter over the last, dating back to Indiana, OKC. He was the bucket getter there. And then when you go to the Clippers, although that was kind of a debate between Kawhi and him. But last few years, it's definitely been Paul George,
sure, yeah.
with Kawhi being on the IR every other week, on the injury report every other week. But Teja, we're talking about this last shot. Where are you going with this? Are you going with a game-by-game basis kind of feel to this whole thing? Or are you saying it's Embiid until Embiid dictates otherwise? I'm passing him out to Paul George. I'm passing out to Maxey. Where do you stand on this whole who's taking the last shot in Philadelphia? Are you more of a fluid kind of guy?
It's totally open for me. And I think Paul George talked about this because Holmgren was trying to start trouble, instigate. And I think he had the right answer, and what he said is true too. He came from a place with another star on it that he did have to defer to a lot. I had never heard it was a problem there with him and Kawhi. I think if you didn't have a problem with Kawhi taking it, you're certainly not going to have a problem with Joel taking it. I think it works out in their favor, though, because they can play the matchups. They can play who's hot that night. I mean, if Maxey's killing who's guarding him, and they're like, we have an opportunity to just annihilate our matchup here, Maxey gets it, right? Or if it's not even Maxey killing it, or if it's just kind of one of those nights where Joel just doesn't seem as in tune or engaged, which it does happen. I mean, it happened in the playoffs where he just like, especially by game's end, he looked a little tired, I could see one of those other guys taking it. George can always take it. He's got that in him, right? But he's also he's not a demanding guy. He's kind of passive, so I don't think that'll be an issue for him since he's already experienced it. This isn't him coming to us and deferring for the first time. He's done it. He's been that guy. He's played with other stars. Embiid, I just don't see. Unless it starts to get away from him on a consistent basis, I don't think he's going to have a problem with it either. And then Maxey is just, out there to have fun, right? I mean, I think he knows he can kill it whenever you ask him and he's ready, but I don't think he's in no place to demand it at this point. Pretty fortunate situation. You have a guy at every single level. You have the guard, lead guard, you have a wing, and you have a big man who all are capable of taking the last shot, who all are capable of dominating their one-on-one competition. Not many teams can say that for their team. So it's a unique situation. And I don't think it needs to be established. And I think Paul George's answer was whatever Nick Nurse says. So, and I think when you lobby for this team to get together the way that Embiid has, and he's been asking for this for years, well, you got it. And what comes with that is this, a fluidity to who takes those shots. And, to be fair, Embiid with Harden, that will help this mentality a lot because Harden did take final shots. Butler took final shots. The get down and stare at the thing. That was a final shot against Charlotte. So he's used to it. So he's done it with Butler, never complained. And then he did it with Harden, didn't complain. So I don't think adding George in substitution of those two guys at the end of the game is going to cause any problems. I don't think we have that kind of situation because luckily George and Embiid have played with other guys that have taken those shots.
I love it's funny that just kind of the discourse and these type of topics where it's like who's taking the last shot. I mean, Denver, we had the MVP who's won it a million times over there. I mean, he doesn't take the last shot in every game, and he doesn't have a caliber player like Paul George or even Tyrese Maxey on his team. Yeah, Jamal Murray's solid. Jamal Murray's more of a Tyrese Maxey kind of guy. He's not even a Paul George as far as level of player or caliber of player.
No.
But yet, Jamal Murray takes the final shots in some of the games over there. It's a fluidity thing. There shouldn't be an all or nothing kind of deal, and that's when you have a team like this and a team that, like you said, Embiid kind of has been pushing for this. Embiid literally went to NBA Countdown to get this guy on his team to have conversations where it's like, it's not all on me, and it shouldn't be all on you. It's a kind of shared thing, and we also have the third guy. It's a 33% kind of thing. I think it's split three ways. Whoever's cooking that night, whoever's got the best matchup, whoever the best advantages, that's where it comes. I don't think it's an all or nothing. It's Embiid's taking the last shots, his team. It's like, no, because I just don't think that is the way anymore, and I don't think that is the way on a team when you have three stars on it.
And our team's going to let's say Embiid gets the ball to block. Are they going to double him? Is George's guy going to leave him to go double Embiid with 5 seconds left on the clock? I mean, we have three options now that are double worthy, that all eyes are on them or can be justifiably on them on defense. So good luck. It's going to be fun to see and just play with it early. Nurse is going to have a fun time.
Yeah, definitely the right coach to have this. And I wouldn't even call this a problem. This is a good thing. This is a good thing to have this kind of issue. So yeah, there's bad problems and there's great problems, and this is one of those. And I can't wait.
It's a fortunate problem to have.
Yeah. This is a first world problem, as people say.
Yeah. Too many options.
Yeah. And also too, it's too many options. Quite frankly, if Embiid's getting doubled and Caleb Martin's wide open, fucking dish it to Caleb Martin. To be honest with you,
I mean, even how many last shots has Eric Gordon taken with Harden on his team?
Yeah.
I never heard that was a problem in Houston taking shots. No, come on. I mean, they know he can hit it. It's about winning at this point.
Yeah, this is. I think when you have Paul George coming to Philadelphia, when you have Embiid wanting him to come to Philadelphia, when you have Maxey knowing that pretty much since he's come in the league, he's been a third option besides last year, it's three guys who understand that it's basketball and understand that some nights it's going to be somebody's night, some nights it's going to be their night, some nights I'm going to have to defer to the other guy. And that's what it's going to have to be. I mean, and they understand that. That's why Paul George knows that coming to Philadelphia. That's why Embiid wanted him there because he wanted to share responsibility with another guy. So, all right, we're gonna go to our final topic here, and it's Joel Embiid. Is a comment that we got, a question that we got from one of our viewers. So, if you were out there, you'll know what this is all about. So we'll finish with this. This is about Embiid signing a lifetime deal in Philadelphia. He says he wants to be in Philadelphia for the entirety of his career, like a Dirk Nowitzki, like a Kobe. So hopefully we do that for him. But this is an interesting tidbit, caveat to that. So, question from one of our viewers. Embiid and the Sixers are apparently hoping to work on a contract extension this offseason. Apparently, they're working on it now. Should this contract extension include stipulations based on weight and being in shape? I guess this is more of like a Zion kind of stipulation here. But yeah, what do you think about that? My take on this is, I think every player should already kind of have this like kind of instilled in them that want to be in shape, especially when you are a guy who has injury issues like Embiid, trying to stay at a certain weight, trying to stay at a certain, just trying to be in a certain shape by the time you get to training camp, not playing yourself into shape, which we have seen that with Embiid. I think there is a little leeway with Embiid since he's been here for so long where it's like, look, my weight's never been an issue to the point where like, it's kept me off the floor. Injuries have, freak ones, but not his weight so much. And he's been an MVP caliber guy for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's like, I think if you do something like that, I think that's just like that could be something that could affect the good vibes going on in Philadelphia.
Kyle
right
Murray,
now.
Video game type stuff.
Yeah, it could affect the good vibes that we got going on right now. So I would say he should be doing that already. And hopefully when they are talking about it, it's like, hey, you're getting older, try to just think things to think about and consider as you get older. And hopefully, Paul George is a good role model for it's a good role model for him. Paul George was talking about on his podcast that going into the season, he's going straight up no sugar at all. He's going away from sugar in all the ways to try to lower inflammation. He says he's trying to do different things as he gets older. And hopefully that is a good influence on him going into this. And we don't need to add these stipulations in. I mean, Embiid's getting older. He's trying to win a championship now. He's got eyes on the prize. He's got his gold medal. Now he wants to, take us past the second round. And I think these are things he should be considering anyways. And I just think adding this into a contract like the Kyler Murray video game clause, I think that would just kind of be like sour grapes. And you don't want to like do anything to mess with the good vibes that are going on in Philadelphia right now. Because right now, good stuff's going on in Philadelphia. So I'm curious what you think.
Video games clause, which they took back because of the backlash on it.
Yeah.
That didn't even stick. And that was like the thing we're talking about. So I hope that being around guys like Curry and LeBron, especially LeBron, because Embiid really can't find comps to what he is as far as like size and play style. Like it's not really, Durant kind of, he said it before in the past, he's got elements of Durant, but Durant doesn't do what he does in the block. AD, I guess a little bit, but as far as size and weight though, I think someone like LeBron is a good influence for him to be like, hey man, as you get older, you need to get less and less every year as you get older. It's just something the greats do. I mean, Brady even did that in the NFL. He just like got smaller every year almost. He looked like got thinner and like just leaner. And you don't necessarily need a clause in there or a stipulation if you got someone like Barkley coming on TV all the time talking about your weight and you being out of shape hindering you. And that was a lot of talk in the Olympics. That was a lot. He got a lot of international negative pub about him being out of shape. So it's not like no one's talking about it. It's a known thing that he does have injury problems. He's going to probably have a knee thing for the rest of his life, and at least for his playing career. And the lighter he is, the more in shape he is, the better, right? So I think he knows what he needs to do. It's just executing it, right? Like, I just think he needs to get better at that. Should it be? Would I like it to be in there just as a fan to know he has to follow rules? Yeah, sure. I'll say yes to that. Like, should it be necessary? No, it shouldn't be. That's like a stipulation, your job contract asking you to be on time, in my opinion. Like, it's like you shouldn't really need that at this point. Like, especially you worked at a company for 8 years, or like, hey, we're going to put something in there for you to be on time. It means you're not being on time. So it's like, funny thing is though, if I was asked that and I knew I wasn't on time, I would get it though, right? I'd be like, all right. I'll be on time. So like, would it be a surprise to him? Is it a little bit of slap in the face? Sure. But he knows this already. He's heard it all. And he feels the pain in his body. So he knows he has to, shed some of that weight, stay lean, get leaner. And, with the money they've shelled out for Maxey and the money and they've shelled out for George and the team they put together, I think that puts a little more pressure on him to be like, all right, I can't like snooze past this anymore. Like I have to be fully engaged all year, in shape, ready to play. It's like champion mentality. You're not playing for today. You're not playing for November 16th. You're playing for like end of the season to be not only in the second round, but to be closer to this version of you in the second round. Because we've seen Embiid like zombie through games and still put up like 25, 30 points and like 10 rebounds. But like, it's not about stats at that point. You're looking for being effective and highly effective and as close to your version of yourself at your best as possible. And that needs to be the goal. That needs to be the conversation. What do I need to do all year to make sure come playoff time in the championship? Because we're talking about second round. In the first round, he's like running on E. Dude, that's just the first round. You got what, 3 more rounds after that to win it all. So we're talking about another 15 to 18 games, maybe 21 games, unfortunately. So that's a lot. That's a lot for him. So he's got to be ready to get in shape to, be there for that.
Yeah, well, it sounds like your dog over there wants that stipulation in the contract. But yeah, I'll say that one thing that's interesting about this season, and I brought up the Olympics and the kind of the influence he may have gotten from LeBron and Curry and those guys who are all aging superstars, but really it's not impacting their play on the court because LeBron and Curry are still playing all-time highs. But Paul George is an interesting one because if you look at the guys we've had, like the superstars we've had brought in this team, Harden, right? He was an aging superstar, but Harden, we know about his work ethic as far as like, what's he doing in the offseason? He's not going on these diets like Paul George and LeBron are. He's going to clubs every night. And I'm not saying all these other guys don't go to clubs and have fun. They do. I'm sure they all have fun. But those guys definitely go to clubs less than what Harden was doing. So that was one role model he had that like wasn't really like, that's not really giving him good insight for the future.
Not a good influence for sure.
But now going for the Olympics, having Paul George was talking about, apparently like I was watching the podcast and he didn't know that sticks of gum had sugar in it. What was it? Harrison, the other guy, one of his co-hosts was like, yo, you're not eating sugar, but you're eating gum. He's, what do you mean? He said, there's sugar in gum. And he was like, right away, I spat that out because I'm literally when I go in on a diet, I'm going 100% in. I'm not trying to like I want zero sugar. So like I think this is going to be one of those things. And yes, we have crafted out a team where it's like it is win now, and it's more than just taking the last shot. You are the leader of that team. You are the MVP of that team, and you got to do things outside the basketball court to make sure you're good on the court, and that's trying to stay in shape, trying to be as light and as healthy as possible. So, and hopefully, and that's another bummer too, which those things are tied together. When you do get hurt, when you do have a knee injury, you're sitting on your bum for 2 weeks, a week and a half.
I know.
It's tough. It's tough to maintain a good, healthy diet, but you're also not moving at all. And like, he's a big dude. I don't know how many calories a guy like that has to intake on a day. He's not
no idea.
He's not a small guy like me, 5'8", 160. He's a massive man. So he's got to eat, especially when you can't walk for 2 weeks. What's he doing? So it's tough because those things kind of get tied together. And hopefully the good influence that he sees from LeBron and Paul George, hopefully when he finishes out this contract until he retires, he's, doing stuff to try to prolong his career and stay as healthy as possible. And he doesn't need stipulations in his contract. So, and the reason why Zion has it, because Zion's a young buck who's already having these issues. And it's like, okay, they need to have those clauses, and Kyler Murray with the video game stuff, which got taken out. But, that didn't help that situation. I think there was like they got rid of the GM shortly after that, like the next year. and coach after that whole thing. So, but no need for the stipulation in the contract. All right, guys. Well, that does it for us. Short episode. We want to make sure we got an episode in this week without our star point guard, Eric Snow, who will be back in 2 weeks. So Teja and I will be back here again next Friday with another short episode, kind of highlighting all the news of the week and topics and questions from you guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, buddy.
You're on.